How to read people and predict their moves. Most people think behavior is unpredictable. People say one thing and do another. They promise and then change direction. They react in ways that seem inconsistent. From the outside, it looks random, but it is not. Human behavior follows patterns, motives, incentives, emotions, status. When you begin to see these patterns, something changes. People become more predictable, not because you control them, but because you understand them. Welcome to 10-Minute Books, the channel where we break down the world's most powerful books into practical lessons you can apply in everyday life. Today, we explore a timeless idea drawn from two influential works, The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene and The Art of War by Sun Tzu. How to read people and predict their moves. Robert Greene begins with a simple observation. People rarely reveal their true intentions. They present reasons. They justify actions. They explain decisions. But beneath these explanations, there are deeper motives: desire for status, fear of loss, need for recognition, desire for control. Greene argues that if you focus only on what people say, you miss what actually drives them. To read people, you must look beyond words. Observe behavior. Patterns repeat. What someone does consistently reveals more than what they say once. Sun Tzu approaches this from strategy. In The Art of War, he emphasizes knowing your opponent, understanding strengths, weaknesses, tendencies. He argues that victory depends on this knowledge. If you understand how someone thinks, you can anticipate how they act. This principle applies beyond warfare. In everyday life, people respond to pressure in predictable ways. Some become defensive. Some withdraw. Some become aggressive. These responses are patterns, and patterns can be learned. The first principle is observation. Most people look. Few people observe. Looking is passive. Observation is active. It requires attention. Notice tone of voice, body language, consistency between words and actions. Notice what triggers reaction, what creates hesitation, what creates confidence. Over time, these signals form a pattern, and patterns reveal behavior. The second principle is consistency. People believe they are unpredictable, but most behavior is stable. Habits repeat. Reactions repeat. Decision patterns repeat. If someone avoids conflict once, they will likely avoid it again. If someone seeks attention, they will continue to seek it. Consistency is the key to prediction. The more you observe, the more consistent behavior becomes visible. The third principle is motive. Every action has an incentive behind it, sometimes obvious, sometimes hidden. To understand behavior, ask a different question. Not what are they doing, but why are they doing it? What do they gain? What do they avoid? This reveals intention, and intention predicts action. Greene emphasizes that motives are often hidden even from the person themselves. People rationalize actions. They present acceptable reasons, but underlying incentives still operate. Recognizing this creates advantage. The fourth principle is emotional triggers. People react strongly to certain situations: criticism, loss of control, threat to status. These triggers reveal vulnerability, and vulnerability predicts behavior. When triggered, people revert to patterns. Understanding triggers allows anticipation. You begin to see what situations produce predictable reactions. The fifth principle is positioning. Sun Tzu emphasizes the importance of position. People act differently depending on context. Powerful positions create confidence. Weak positions create caution. If someone feels secure, they act boldly. If they feel threatened, they act defensively. Understanding position explains behavior, not just personality. The sixth principle is pattern recognition. Once you observe enough behavior, patterns emerge. Not perfect predictions, but probabilities. You begin to anticipate likely responses. Not because you are guessing, but because you are recognizing repetition. This is how strategy develops. Small observations accumulate into understanding. The seventh principle is detachment. Emotional involvement reduces clarity. If you are reacting emotionally, you stop observing objectively. Greene emphasizes emotional distance, not coldness, but clarity. Observe without immediate judgment. This allows more accurate interpretation. Sun Tzu also emphasizes calmness. A calm mind sees more. A reactive mind sees less. The eighth principle is listening, not just hearing words, but listening for intention. What is emphasized? What is avoided? What is repeated? What is inconsistent? People reveal more than they intend. If you listen carefully, the ninth principle is contradiction. People often contradict themselves, saying one thing, doing another. These contradictions are not random. They reveal conflict between intention and image, between desire and perception. Recognizing contradiction reveals deeper motives. The 10th principle is adaptation. Understanding people is not static. It evolves. As you observe more, your understanding improves. You adjust your interpretation. You refine your predictions. This creates accuracy over time. There is also a deeper layer that becomes visible with experience. People are not only driven by what they want, they are also driven by what they fear. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of losing status. These fears shape behavior in subtle ways. Someone may appear confident, but avoid certain risks. Someone may appear calm, but react strongly when challenged. Understanding fear adds another dimension to prediction. It explains hesitation. It explains overreaction. It explains inconsistency. Another important signal is what people prioritize. Where do they invest time? What do they defend? What do they protect? These patterns reveal values, and values guide decisions. If you know what someone values, you can anticipate how they will act when those values are involved. There is also the role of environment. People behave differently depending on context. A person may be confident in one setting and uncertain in another. This is not contradiction. It is adaptation. Understanding context improves accuracy. You begin to see not just who someone is, but how they respond in different situations. Over time, all of these signals combine: observation, consistency, motives, triggers, position, patterns, and something shifts. Behavior no longer feels random. It becomes structured, not perfectly predictable, but understandable. And that understanding changes how you act. You become less reactive, more prepared, more deliberate, because you are no longer guessing. You are interpreting, and interpretation is the foundation of strategy. That was How to Read People and Predict Their Moves, inspired by the 48 Laws of Power and the Art of War. Which principle resonated most with you? Observation, motive, or pattern? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe to 10-Minute Books, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next deep dive into powerful ideas. Because the greatest advantage is not knowing everything. It is seeing what others miss.